You know, there is way more to the Seaworthy that meets the eye, folks, especially now that Hamlet is a thing. Sure, to most of us, it's still just a magical ride that lets you jump from a shipwrecked world to a Reign of Giants world, perhaps. But do you know how to actually get back? Do you know how to travel to Hamlet, even when you haven't even generated the Hamlet world itself? Or better yet, have you ever imagined how exploitable these separate servers actually are with these things in play? If not, it seems to me that I have a job to do. Speaking of generating worlds though, it all begins there. Your first two options are the vanilla Don't Starve experience or the far superior Reign of Giants version. Click on either one, and the game is going to ask you which DLC you'd like to link, and without question, pick Hamlet. Every time. Even if you have zero intention of stepping foot into that DLC, it's still better to have the option and not limit yourself, and you'll see why in a bit. But as for clicking on the Shipwrecked world option first, it will ask you once again about Hamlet compatibility, and just make the same decision and link the worlds. Easy peasy there. For the last one though, Hamlet is just Hamlet, and is already linked to all three of the worlds, but we'll see about that later. For now, let us just focus on Shipwrecked and the first Seaworthy you're going to encounter. Every shipwrecked world is going to see one generated, but unfortunately, this is one of those locations that I simply cannot truly nail down for you. That being said, it's usually pretty darn far away from things, so scouting the outskirts of the map is a fantastic idea, and the structure itself is always atop wood flooring with a single skelly friend close by, as you saw earlier. We can actually hammer the thing for 2 nightmare fuel and 2 living logs, along with something new called the Seaworthy. The item is actually a trinket, but it cannot be traded to the fat squid himself, so thank goodness there. You sell or lose this thing in a shipwrecked world, and you'll never be able to jump to another one again. And that's cause it is a key component to constructing additional seaworthies using fuel and logs via a shadow manipulator. And this aspect is going to be very important throughout this whole process. But find one or construct one someplace that suits you, go to activate it, and find that you can now generate your own Reign of Giants world from within Shipwrecked itself. Do so, climb aboard, and head out on a new adventure, friend. Fare thee well, landlubber. However, even after a lovely stay within a different realm of the constant, you do miss the plundering and pillaging of the high seas. The good news is, you can return home anytime. The bad news is, that's gonna take some doing to actually do. If you didn't know, you can fish in the ocean within solo play, and Flotsam is where we must do so for a measly 4.36% chance at one of those Seaworthers from before. It's pretty rough, folks, and limited. But thankfully, there is an alternative. And if you're already fishing by the ocean in Flotsam, then you're already in the one and only place. For you see, our annoying friend Wally the Pirate Parrot here is actually yet another creature that will trade you valuables for tribute. But today, we are only concerned about this sunken boat he seems to be resting on. We can hammer it down and shoo him away to net one of them seaworthies we've been looking for, a red and blue gem, 3 gold, and 3 boards. Jeez, this parrot really knows how to barter apparently. But perhaps we'll talk about him at a later time though. Construct yet another magical boat of dimensional transportation. Place it down where you please, perhaps even making a temporary base in and around it. And then you can now jump between your shipwrecked world and your Reign of Giants world whenever you please with ease. As you will spawn right where the other one is in their respective worlds themselves, which is very, very nice and useful. But what if I told you of a third, far more efficient option that is available to you at any time? Enter the Skyworthy. It's the shipwrecked equivalent of a Seaworthy of the Hamlet DLC, and will actually just link all 3 worlds together at one time, as long as you've chosen the Hamlet compatibility, as I said before. However, you'll need 4 nightmare fuel, 4 living logs, and a can of silly string? What the hell's that? Well, outside of Hamlet, the only way to obtain this trinket is through hammering what are known as wicker baskets. Once more, unfortunately, these locations of these structures in both Shipwrecked and Reign of Giants are completely random. For the most part, that is. But they do have map markers, so there's that. Whatever the case, once you craft a Skyworthy and go to board, you'll find that it allows for links to either Shipwrecked, Reign of Giants, or Hamlet, depending of course on which one you may already be in. But that begs the question, what happens when you just simply generate a Hamlet world alone? You might think easy peasy, Beard, because you'll literally spawn by a wicker basket, but you'll come to see that it won't be a walk in the park, as they say. It's only outside of Hamlet that you'll find a can of silly string within these things, so what the heck now? Well, unfortunately, the only way to get one is through unlocking the display case within the Hamlet Palace with the Royal Gallery key, and this itself is going to be no simple task. We can give the Queen the Regal Scepter for the key, but the item rests on the BFB Island, and the BFB only shows up every 10 to 24 days without any other outside influences. So that's not too efficient unless you know what you're doing or you find the proper entrance early enough. We can snatch away the Queen's crown from the Queen Womat if we dare, but I wouldn't worry too much. It's an actually kinda easy fight, and one that we've already done to unlock Wilba, by the way. Or you can get really lucky and do archaeology adventures within the waters of Hamlet or the ruins and find the either blue sow or the jeweled truffle to present Her Majesty. Whatever the case, get the key and unlock your prize. Now again, you can choose between Reign of Giants or Shipwrecked, only to then work in one of those worlds to link whichever one might not be linked already. But it's going to be world hopping for days after you do all that. But make note, folks, none of your followers, even Abigail, are going to be able to follow you if you use a Seaworthy or Skyworthy, no matter which world you happen to be in. So you will be alone once you dimension hop. Also, if you do not like a particular season in one of your worlds, you can choose to hop to an additional world, wait out the time within that one, and then return to the initial world in a whole new season. So, do with that information as you please, folks. I do realize that I alluded to detailing how we can now abuse these linked worlds, but I kind of feel like that's going to be way too much information on top of what I already gave you, so we're going to talk about that really soon, I promise. But for now, I hope you learned how to go about linking these totally separate experiences into one enormous adventure, and I hope you do choose to venture to, through, and from them all at some point. See? I told you there was more to these things than you may have thought. But thanks for watching, everyone. Well wishes to all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.